Hello, today is Monday, May 20th, and welcome to episode 338 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm NSI Senior Fellow Lester Munson. I am joined today by NSI's founder and executive director, Jamil Jaffer, NSI's deputy executive director, Jessica Jones, and my fellow senior fellow, Morgan Vigna. Today, we are talking about dead Iranian leaders. President Ebrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian have perished in a helicopter crash inside Iran, just over the border from Azerbaijan, after they paid a visit to a dam opening in Azerbaijan.
Couldn't happen to two nicer guys.
Right, and we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss their legacies, in particular President Raisi's, and also what it means for Iran going forward and the Middle East generally, hopefully in about the next 9 or 10 minutes. So it should be noted, the president of Iran is not the real head of state. That is the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. The president is elected in a completely fake democratic process in which the supreme leader personally selects the candidates. The vote for Raisi 3 years ago was not robust. It was what some described as the lowest turnout in Iranian modern history. The Iranian people do not appear to be very thrilled with the legacy of Mr. Raisi. He notably cracked down on protests after the death of Mahsa Amini, the young woman who was in captivity, in police captivity for not wearing the proper headdress. Raisi was a thug. He directed Iranian foreign policy, which killed Americans, both directly and through proxies. He was part of the government that launched 300 missiles and drones at Israel a couple of months ago. This is not someone that will be mourned by people who love freedom and security and that kind of thing. The foreign minister notably was a hardliner. For those who are fans of the Iran nuclear deal, he was the leader of the efforts not to re-engage on the Iran side in the nuclear deal with the Biden administration, which the Biden administration very much wanted. So one of the questions here, Jamil, and I want to let you go first here, is what happens in Iran? Is this significant? Does it change the possible succession of the supreme leader, who's 85 years old and probably going to die soon also? What does this mean for Iran politics?
I mean, for those Iran watchers who are a lot smarter than I am on this, they're saying that, in fact, it does affect the succession plan for the supreme leader, who will stay in office till he passes away. And the reason why is that Raisi, being a cleric himself, born in Mashhad, Iran, studying in some of the key seminaries in Iran, and the former chief justice of the Iranian Supreme Court, or their Supreme Council, I should say, was viewed as a leading contender for the supreme leader's job after Khamenei passes away. The other leading contender, of course, is Khamenei's son, Mojtaba Khamenei. And now that Raisi's out of the way, Mojtaba has a clear shot at the leadership, even though he's viewed as less of a educated cleric. He didn't go to the top schools, but of course his dad has the primary job, so that's what gives him the leg up. So I think in some ways it does change succession. With respect to the president, who, as you point out, it isn't really a particularly relevant figure other than a ceremonial role. There will be new elections in about 50 days. For now, the first vice president, Mohammad Makber, comes into place now that Khamenei has endorsed his rise to presidency. So over the next 50 days, they'll set up another set of sham elections, and off we go to whomever they want to put in place for this job. So that's likely how it plays out. I will note, by the way, Javad Zarif, the former foreign minister, is already blaming the United States for this incident, saying the lack of airplane and helicopter parts the U.S. has sanctioned may have been a factor in this accident.
Jamil, you keep saying economic sanctions don't work.
Look, I think listen. I will say this: if in fact it was helicopter parts, then so be it. But there's the other betting, and I'm surprised I haven't seen Iranian sources say this yet. Nobody's yet blaming the Israelis, but that's likely another path they're going to go down. Of course, the Israelis have been very good at killing nuclear scientists, so it would be surprising if this plane mysteriously fell out of the air. But in reality, the high chances are it was just heavy fog and bad weather that caused this particular accident.
Morgan, Iran and Israel were in direct conflict with each other just a few weeks ago. what does this mean for Israel and the Middle East more generally, if anything?
Oh man, we could have a very, very lengthy discussion about this. I just want to pick up on one before I get into that last. I do want to pick up on one point that Jamil mentioned, and that is that Khamenei's son is likely to sort of seen as that successor. Raisi, before he was killed in the helicopter crash, was actually seen as the successor, and so when you have Khamenei's son come in and sort of be that natural replacement for his father, that is the height of irony. Iranians don't actually like nepotism. I think you'll recall with the Pahlavi family, that was a huge issue, and one of the reasons why the Shah fell, one of many. But with that said, though, I think the Iranian people are going to have a lot of heartburn if they see this one family, rule Iran moving forward. But specifically, Les, with respect to your question about Israel, look, there are a lot of dynamics going on here. I don't buy into the conspiracy theory that the Israelis caused this. Benjamin Netanyahu has his own issues to deal with at home, particularly with Benny Gantz over the weekend delivering an ultimatum about delivering a strategy for a post-Gaza plan. That in and of itself is going to suck up a lot of energy within Israel. How that's going to affect the region as a whole, though, I think it's just one of many developments that we're seeing that is going to sort of complicate an already very dynamic region moving forward. But with that said, though, I think that this is an opportunity for the Israelis if they were to exploit the weakness within the Iranian government, and particularly during this time of transition. I think, unfortunately, the Iranian regime has much more staying power than any of us would like to admit. But at the same time, though, if there is an opportunity to sort of exploit those divisions within the government, now would be an opportune time for Mossad to do that.
Jones, it's possible Ebrahim Raisi will be mourned more on some American college campuses than he will be in Iran itself. What are your thoughts about how
I
this
didn't
may
even think about
change?
that, Les.
You didn't.
that would
Well, let's surface that issue. How do you think this issue should impact American policy? Does the Biden administration have an opportunity here for a different tack in the Middle East, either in Gaza or more broadly, or specifically on its Iran policy? How could the administration kind of seize this opportunity?
I think Morgan kind of touched on this. We don't expect a change in whether it's domestic or foreign policies in the upcoming short term, right? We have elections coming up in 50 days, but as we know, elections are pretty much handpicked. So there isn't going to be someone who's going to radically change policies inside or outside of Iran. But like Morgan pointed out, this is an extremely volatile region. There's conflict waging. So any kind of turmoil or election, even if rigged, is going to be a chance for upheaval. And that also means that attention isn't going to be focused on the conflicts in the region, support of proxies. They're going to be focused domestically on shoring up the strength of the regime and making sure that the folks internally feel some sense of stability.
So it seems to me, Jamil, if you have a final thought on this, it seems to me there's a huge opportunity for the administration to start driving a wedge in between some of these divisions inside Iranian society, start a fire in their house so that they'll be less interested in causing trouble in Gaza with Hamas, in Lebanon with Hezbollah, and some of their support for the Houthis in Yemen, which is becoming a bigger and bigger problem for some reason. Jamil, is this an opportunity for the Biden administration to pivot to a new approach to Iran?
It is, but I worry, unfortunately, they will pivot back to their original approach to Iran, which is trying to coddle Iran and say, oh, look, now's an opportunity for a reformer to come into place. We can work with Iran now with whoever this new leader is, when in fact, that's almost certainly going to be the wrong answer. I think the more likely player to get in the mix and try to cause chaos and dissension within Iran is the Mossad. So that's likely how this is going to play out. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see in the next few days the Biden administration saying, this is a new opportunity to try and rebuild the Iran nuclear deal and the like, because the foreign minister and president who are opposed are gone.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks so much to Devlin Burney, Claude Jennings, and the NSI staff for their help in producing today's episode. Join us again on Wednesday, May 22nd, for another episode of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you smart fast on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. Fault Lines is now on YouTube, so check out our channel for a video of today's episode. If you like what you heard or saw, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.